Have you step in a little bit closer so that you can hear this. Now, my name is Brother Scott, and I escaped from the other kingdom. I was actually a scribe there, learning how to write, and I became a good handwriting person. And the thing is, only nobility knew how to write and read. And what they didn't want to do was to have the peasants and everybody else to be able to get that power. So I was able to save a couple peasants. These are my birthday peasants. Birthday peasant number 1, Tracy, and Nia, Princess Nia. So she's going to grow up to be a princess, and she's helping with something back there. She's distracted. But anyway, so barely got out of there, but I do have some examples here to show you, because even if you're a peasant and you don't know how to write, I'm going to share with you that even by making a mark, that I can read what that is. And with these charts, you're also going to be able to see some of the big things that I look at as being a graphologist, because I look at the big part of things and then I shrink it down and have an understanding of what it is, okay? So you're going to look at these and you're going to say, oh, well, that makes sense, but that's what I want you to do. But I'm going to look at something that makes sense like this, but of course, I've been doing this since high school, and so it's been a little while. So I look at it a little bit more deeper than what I'm going to share with you. But I'm going to share with you that there are some things that you can look at and you can say, you know what, I'm not going to have that person babysit my grandkids, right? Okay. And when you look at these things, number one, here in the Western world, we read from left to right. I think most of us do, right? So when you look at the left side of a piece of paper, we want to think of that as the past, because we write at the beginning, and then we go to the right, and that's the future. So then, when you're looking at these, I want you to think that this side is the left, that's the past, that side is the future. So we're always going the direction that we read. Now let me ask you, looking at these two, which person is more organized?
What?
Right, this one here. And now you can look at these objects. They could have been square, they could have been triangles or whatever. And again, you don't need to be able to write. Graphology, the definition of it, my definition that I've learned, is movement frozen in time. So a person can do a painting, they can do graphology, or they can do sculpture or something like that, and it will also tell me something. So having said that, before I move on too far, what I want you to do is, some of you might have one of these. Any of you have these? Okay, if you'll pull that out, and let me give you one, and let me give you one, and you one, and then we've got pencils coming up. And how many of you, and I ask this because I'm among peasants and royalty, and for me it's hard to tell the difference sometimes. So, do you know how to draw the symbol X, like X marks the spot? Okay, what I want you to do all at one time, if you're able to do it, now I realize that this is not a exact science because you don't have something hard to write on and that sort of thing. What I want you to do in a moment is draw an X, any size, anywhere in that square. So please go ahead and do that. Okay, now I'll collect the pencils, and the papers are for your souvenir part of things. And thank you. Now, having looked at, if I had you do maybe a couple X's and things like that, let's say if you happen to do 7 X's and they look like this or they look like this, doesn't matter if they're X's or O's or whatever, your X's would be more organized or less organized. But the thing is, all of these traits, they're neutral. They're not bad, they're not good, because again, is there a place in life where we should have somebody organized? Is there a place in life where we should have somebody more fun? So if you were on some kind of a committee, you'd say, you know what, let's have this person plan the party because we want to have fun, but finances, we better have somebody over here that does that. Make sense? And so you're looking at that, and maybe for the first time, because I'm a magician and I'm sharing you with the secret here, you're saying, oh, I knew that then, that makes sense, right? But I take it a little bit deeper than this, but I want you to be able to understand what I look at. Now this next one, again, we're thinking of, this could be a word, it could be a paragraph or whatever. But again, we read from left to right. So if this was a paragraph and this was a paragraph, then which person is more future-minded? Which person is writing about the future? This one. Now, there's a big margin right here, and usually, again, I'm exaggerating everything here for this. If somebody was really like that, they're really promoting something over here. Both of these are in the center, but who's more extroverted? Yeah, this person's bigger than life. But here, this person's probably in the middle, but you know what? This might be the person in a crowd that's a little lonely or something. They're there, but you know what? They're doing their own thing and whatever. Now this is probably one of the most basic things that I look for, and this is a stroke. If you're doing the letter A, and so I'm not talking about heat stroke or anything, but we do the strokes up and down, and then we do the strokes crosswise. And if you're leaning backward or you're leaning forward, so which person is thinking about the future? This person, because we go this direction. Now, these are slightly exaggerated, but not so much. Most people, their strokes are up and down, and that means that they live for the present. And you'll see this in young people's writing or college, because they're saying to themselves, oh, what are you going to do on Friday night? What are you thinking about? You know, in high school, that's what you always thought about. But then, a lot of people, and in our age and older, your age and beyond, you know what? If they've had a traumatic experience in their past life and they just can't get over it. So I'll look at something like this and I might say, you know, there's something in your life that you're not letting go of. You're thinking in the past all the time. And you know what? That may not be healthy. Again, I say that things are neutral, but if you're doing this all the time, you know, you're not living in the present, you're not living in the future, so you might want to think about changing that a little bit. Now I've got a couple more to share with you, and then, if you'd like, I'll answer any questions that you have. But now here, which person, when they're writing, which person is more agitated? Yes, or more aggressive. So, which person would be a better salesperson? More aggressive, yeah. You know, and also look how forward-minded that is. You know, it's like, no, I don't want it today. Well, what about tomorrow? You know, or I can come back here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. You know, they're always trying to close that sale. They're forward-minded there. And it says, take 7 yeses or 7 no's to make a sale. But this person, very easygoing, relaxed. But, again, no good or bad. There are some times if you're trying to take care of your kids and you know what, sit down. It's dangerous to stand up in a city bus. Sit down. And so you're a little bit like this. But here, there are times when you just want to get out a cup of coffee and sit back and relax like that lady over there, you know, just enjoy. So she can't see that I'm seeing her, yes. You're a part of this even though you were over there. Again, these are words. This is like a sentence, for instance. And again, I look at margins, I look at a lot of different things. But you can look at both of these and you can tell me which person is baseline. You know, that's interesting. If you're in the health field, you say baseline, and we know that in writing, we have the baseline, we have the bottom zone, the top zone, and that sort of thing. Which person is more moody? This person over here. And so, in this case, I want you to think of the margin and see the space that we have here. And again, past and future. So which person ventures out more? This one ventures out more, right? And have you noticed when somebody's writing a letter on blank paper, and that's very important too, I don't take samples with written on, I mean if I have to, if it's a forensic kind of a thing and it's been written on tablet, line paper, of course I have to work with it. But if I'm having you do a sample for me, I do it on blank paper. So you can see if the person's going downhill in their writing or uphill and that sort of thing. But it's your choice where you start with. And so this person, they venture out, but you know if somebody starts here and it starts narrow and it gets wider there, have you seen that? Where people, and then there's the margin on that side too, those all mean different things. And Now, in this case, let's consider if the paper is up and down, and let's think of these lines going this way. If you start your paper at the very top, that means that you're economical. That means that you're saving the rest of the paper in case something comes up later. But if you do it like this, you're adding more value, you have more respect, and you think the person that you're writing to has a lot of importance. Having said all that, do we have any questions? Really? No questions? I thought you'd have some questions.
What about print versus cursive?
Good, good. Well, before I comment on that, specifically, what are you asking about print and
I mean,
cursive?
does that, if somebody handwrites all in print or handwrites all in cursive, does that tend to signify anything?
You know what? You're absolutely right. Printing and cursive, obviously there's some differences. You're not going to see the garland, the E like this, obviously, but you might. But you're still going to see the strokes up and down. You're going to see the T's up or down like that. So many similarities. The guys tend to write or print more so than handwrite. And I think it was partly because truly they weren't trying to pay attention to their teacher when they were learning how to write. And you know, they're writing so sloppy because of that. They didn't want to please their teacher. It goes to where the gals matured a little bit quicker than the guys, so now we're all in the same class, we're learning how to handwrite, and unless you wanted to please the teacher like I did, you know, you write slow and beautiful, and then I was able to, we sent thank you notes to the other teachers in our elementary school, so the kids that wrote really well, we were privileged enough then to go to the other and presented our little handwriting thing. Now you can't read my writing, right? And so things have changed, but if somebody writes like that yet, it just says that they're number one trying to please people, just like they're still trying to please that 4th grade teacher or something. But printing, you can actually print faster than you can cursive. People think they can cursive write faster, but it's not true. It's the printing that goes faster. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
yeah, your strokes are still up or down or this way.
It makes sense.
Any questions at all, sir? All right, did we learn anything? Was it fun? All right, enjoy, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
It's a lot of fun.